Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a lovely start to the morning and glad that we can see so many faces in this brain date. Welcome to this brain date, which is about Into Their Shoes, Rethinking Education Through Inclusion. My name is Gaurav Jogal. I am representative from Solsa, and I'm going to be the host for the next 90 minutes along with Saili. Uh, this is not a debate. This is a learning space for every one of us where we intend to hear stories, hear experiences, and also give everyone time to speak. Some basics for this brain date. If you can please switch off or put your phones on silent for this brain date. Second thing, if you ever feel that you have to step out of this brain date, please feel free to do so. And also, if there is any point which is triggering or uncomfortable, you can step out of the brain date and let us know too. Thank you so much. Handing over to Saili.
Okay, thank you so much, Gaurav. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. To start with, as I mentioned, we are starting with a very interesting activity. I would request all of you to come in the open space for something called Privilege Walk. Can you please all step into the open space and I'll give you next instructions. I request everyone to stand in one line that starts from here towards the exit. I request everyone to stand in one line that starts from here to the end. There is just one single line facing to the dais. One line that starts from here. Ma'am, a little ahead. A little ahead. Please, please continue line till the exit. Till that last exit. A little ahead. Little ahead. थोड़ा और थोड़ा और. This और इधर इधर. Please step here. Please ma'am. A little here. Please step a little forward and make a long line till the exit. Little ahead, please.
Also, you can maintain a little bit.
A bit ahead. A bit ahead. Okay, great. I hope all of you received a bag and you have got some time to read the story. I'm sure you have read the story and you have realized these are not a fictional stories. This is a story of a real child and hope you got some interesting things to look inside that bag. And please note that this is a bag of that child itself, and you get some really good insights of what the child is carrying every day to the school. Okay, now to start the activity, I would request all of you to listen the instructions carefully. So I'll read a statement, and if you do not agree with the statement, then please take a small step backwards. Just one small step backwards. Okay, let's try it out. Let's try a demo. Uh, who all have, okay, uh, we have some limited bags. So those who do not have bags, please try to step into your own childhood, try to relate this your own story and act according to your own story. And just let's take a trial of how this walk would look like. So yeah, also I request all of you to close your eyes, and if you do not agree with the statement that I announce, please take one step back. Okay, all those who do not agree had to take one small step back. Okay, just a trial. I had i have had my breakfast in the morning. Those who do not agree, take a step back. I have had not my had breakfast. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes. If you don't agree, please take one step back.
Agree to step.
No, no front. No front. Just stepping backwards.
Also, everyone will close their eyes, okay?
Yes. You can't hear. You have to go
I
that
will
side.
go. Okay. Okay, awesome. I'll repeat the instructions for this half of the room. I think that half of the room is clear. Uh, what you have to do is, everyone, those who have got a bag, there was a story that was written. You have to get into their shoes now. You're that child for this activity. You have to close your eyes. Siley and I am going to read a statement. If that statement doesn't align to the story, all the statements are positive. She'll do a demo. If that doesn't
You have
align
not
or you
read the
don't
story.
agree, you have to step
You haven't read
back.
the story.
You'll keep
You actually
stepping
need
back
the
for the
story.
statements that are
Okay,
that
all
are
right, all right.
causing marginalization according to that story. Is that clear? Awesome.
Okay. Uh, yes. Please close your eyes. I request all of you to close your eyes. And here we go with our first statement. My school building allows me to move freely without stairs, noise, or barriers that might stop me. I'll repeat. My school
Then stay.
building allows me to move freely without stairs, noise, barriers, or anything that might stop me. If you do not agree, please step back. Second statement. My textbooks and learning materials match the way I learn and see the world. My textbooks and learning material match the way I learn.
My textbooks and learning materials match the way I learn. You have to step backwards, man.
Third
Stand there.
statement. I can clearly hear, see, understand what is being taught without any extra effort or any extra support. I can clearly hear, see, and understand what is being taught in the classroom without providing extra support.
I can see clearly and understand what is being taught in the classroom without extra support.
Next statement. I am comfortable reading aloud without speaking in class without any fear or hesitation. I can speak or read aloud in the classroom without any hesitation or fear.
I can speak or read aloud in the classroom without any hesitation or fear.
The language spoken at home is the same language used by my teachers for classroom instructions. Language that is used in classroom is same as I use in my home. My journey to school does not depend on weather, disaster, forest, floods, or unsafe paths. My journey to school do not depend on any disaster, weather, or forest, or any other natural conditions. Next, my physical and mental health needs are understood and supported in the class. My physical and mental needs are supported and understood in my class and school. I am encouraged to speak, participate, and lead in the school. I am encouraged to speak, participate, and lead in the school. I believe my school is helping me to overcome challenges and build my future. Next, I feel that education system was designed with children like me in the mind. I feel education system is built or designed with children like me in the mind. I am free to dream about my future without fear of being stopped soon. I am free to dream about my future without being stopped. Last two statements. I can be myself and I am accepted in the school with all my identity. I can be myself and I am accepted in the school. I am never teased, ignored, or laughed in the school. I am never teased, ignored, and laughed in the school? Okay. कर लूँ और एक? Just one last statement. When I struggle, my teachers try to understand why instead of labeling me. When I struggle in classroom, my teachers try to understand what is the difficulty without labeling me. I attend school regularly without any learning difficulty. I attend school without any learning difficulty and I can attend school regularly. I think yes, that's it. Thank you so much, all of you. Just now open your eyes, do not move, and look around. Please take few seconds to look around and see where all you started and now where all you are.
Just observe this picture that you have currently in the room. You all started in the same line.
I think, yeah, this picture is quite evident to show what we are trying to say, that every child, when the child steps into the classroom, it does not start with the same starting line. They are not equal when they step into the classroom. They carry lot of baggages, lot of troubles with them, and those troubles are never resolved or they are often unseen and unnoticed. And through this brain date, we are trying to understand all those struggles and make sure we take one small step for inclusion for all these kids. To sum up this privilege walk, I request Ashish to help us understand this activity and share few thoughts.
Hi. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Ashish, and I work with an organization called Shiksharth. We work with children affected by conflict in tribal areas. I live in a place called Sukma. I've been living there for the last 14 years. And this current visual reminds me of what it looks like in Sukma. The place where I live in Sukma, within 100 meters of radius, there are 6 different schools. Uh, there are 6 different schools. One is a Kendriya Vidyalaya, one is a private school, one is another central government school, one is a state primary school, and one school is a barrier-free residential school for specially able children. The interesting part is it's the same set of children from the same set of communities, tribal communities, they're coming in, but everyone has a different starting line on what their future will look like. And this visual reminds me of that. Very recently, we came across a girl in Sukma. She's a student at one of the schools we work in, and that school is in deep pockets where that school is in the actual line of fire where the actual conflict is happening. And she has mobility issues. She lost her leg when she was 2 years old, and she can't move. And forests are difficult terrain to move. And our team members reached out to us saying if we can do something. And our immediate response, because of lack of knowledge and possibly lack of empathy, was ठीक है हम wheel chair खरीद के दे देंगे. But the practical challenge, what it's difficult to have a smooth mobility even with a wheelchair in a forest. The wheelchair will not function. Wheelchairs function more better on surfaces like these. So we took a call that will then give a shoulder crutch. There's another thing that reminds me of while as a ecosystem we try to empathize, but our ability to solve those problems is very limited. We were part of a team that designed a barrier-free residential school for specially able children. So 100 children, 700 children identified from a population of 2.5 lakh people. Sukma has a population of 2.5 lakh people, 700 children with disability. Most of the disability happened because of lack of treatment. So the child fell from the tree, injury in the backbone. The community didn't go to the doctor. They used their local practices, and the child was disabled for the whole life. And there were many such stories. So we designed one such initiative, and we regret resigning that initiative. It's called Akar. It's a barrier-free residential school 100-seater. It has to children with visual impairment, with deaf, mute, mobility issues, uh, Down syndrome. Now, all these 100 children are basically put in a residential school, and they go through therapy and education and all thing. But when this initiative was launched and it has received award by the Honorable Prime Minister for excellence in public administration. But interestingly, what this school is doing is taking away 100 children, putting them into a contained space, totally unaware of what is happening outside in the outside world, and the world has totally forgotten them. Their family members have forgotten them, that they exist. They will be in school till 10th, and after that they will be left. Now the children now who are leaving the school are finding it difficult to gel back into their ecosystem. So at our convenience, we manipulated the definition of inclusion. So I work with children in tribal communities, conflict areas. So there was a prompt. The school teaches in my language. We work on mother tongue based education. Tribal communities speak local dialects. The state language is a second language and a third language for them. On top of that, we try and support children with disability in a completely absurd way, which is not actually inclusion, but which actually is exclusion. And the idea, thank you for doing this exercise. And the idea of sharing this story and the further session would be, how can we shift those narratives? How can we deepen our understanding? And how we all can come together to take this forward. So thank you very much, and really looking forward to what all we gain out of this session today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for sharing this reflection. Can I request everyone to then go back to the spaces that we are sitting, and then we'll do the next part? Thank you, Ashish, for summarizing it. It shows that inclusion is not just an abstract idea, it's a lived reality by everyone who experiences, sees it, and often goes unnoticed. Now we have someone who has worked with the systems, worked in the classrooms, worked in governments, and championed and advocated for the cause of inclusion. I'd like to welcome Urvashi Sahani ma'am, who is the co-founder of Catalyst 2030 and also CEO of an organization called Self.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, very heartening to see the overwhelming interest in inclusion. That itself is a good starting point. I'm going to start. We did that exercise, which is always, it's a very impactful one. We use it for our gender practices, and we always find it very impactful. I'm going to just start off with a few instances of the ways in which, and I encourage you all to think of that too while I'm speaking, is that how have I felt excluded? I mean, don't look as though I would ever have been excluded, but if you saw, I took many steps back myself too. I grew up as a girl in a very strongly patriarchal home. And so, even at home, my brothers would play cricket in the evening and I would iron their clothes. Okay. And if I asked my mother, she said, Ki nahi, ladkiyon ke saath aisa hi hai. Don't. As I grew up, they would go out, I could not. When I was 17, I got married. And I was married off, and they went to engineering college, BCom, etc. Not allowed because you're a girl, you should be married. In school, I was fortunate to go to a very inclusive school with children from all social backgrounds. It was an army school. And then it was only up to class 6. So I moved to St. Mary's School, which was considered the #1 school in the country for girls. As I entered, we didn't come from a very rich family. So my mother used to stitch our clothes. And I will not forget that. And this is now 50 years, 55 years ago. That the first day when I went, it was a pink frock, low-waisted, cotton, till here. I hadn't got my uniform, so I was wearing that. In the break, the girls got around me and they made fun of the dress. And since then, I never felt included in that school. Even though I was present there, I topped that school and still never ever felt as though I belong. Okay? And I can carry on. I had two daughters. When the second one was born, no laddus because she's a girl. Right. The point I'm trying to make is that inclusion comes in many forms. It happens in our homes, it happens in our schools, it happens in society. And in our country, you will see every form of exclusion and almost official exclusion. When we think of apartheid in South Africa, we are all up in arms, that, oh, Mahatma Gandhi was thrown off and how bad, how terrible. We also sanctioned. In our own country, in villages, there are separate ghettos for people of different castes. They will not eat in each other's rooms. And then we never know, there are no protests. Have you seen any? None. Because we have normalized those and we have made that a point. In our school, Vidyasthali, my students are here. I remember doing this exercise with them. I asked the children, I said, you all belong to different castes. So tell me, what are the rules of inclusion and what are the rules between the castes? So they said, oh, we can eat in some homes and we can't, and we can touch them or we can't. I said, no, not like this. Go home, interview your parents, come back with a list. When they went home, some of the fathers refused to talk to them about bakwas. But Mausi, Chachi, somebody they got and they came. A long list. बड़ी जाति के हैं हिंदी चलेगा बड़ी जाति के हैं तो छोटी जाति के घर में नहीं जा सकता can't go to a lower caste home you can't eat or if you can eat then the utensils have to be separate all of that I said what a good idea let's put all those rules in school also no I said why they said then how will we all be friends I said beta then why do you not want to be friends outside why is that not inclusive but what to do now? Our parents say this. I said, but you can change it, right? So the point is, it comes in many forms. And about children with special needs. We were a very small school. I started my school with 6 children in my garage. And abhi wo garage hi mein tha. And this parent came with a child with Down syndrome, visibly. And they said, please admit the child. I got terrified. I said, I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry, I don't know. They said, please, ma'am, all I want is that bacha just sit in the classroom and I will send someone. I said, okay, wait. I went and asked my class 1 teacher. I said, will you take this child? She says, yeah, I will take it. Out of the goodness of her heart, she took the child. And the child, I'm so glad he came. After that, many started coming. We got even more scared, but we never said no to anyone. And then, when the 14th child walked in with the parent, I said, tell me, ma'am, why do you come to us? We don't have any expertise, So she opened her purse and she took out this little piece of paper. And took it and she handed it to me. It was a prescription from the leading child psychiatrist in the city, and Dr. Sithole. And he had written, medicine, 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 admit to study hall. I rang him up. I said, sir, why are you prescribing study hall to your patients? So he said, because I don't know any other school in the city, this is in Lucknow, that has the heart to take in these children. Now see, with no expertise, with only a heart. It's not enough often, but it is enough to start, right? We took them in. Today we have a full-fledged division. We have 164 children. We are starting a whole B.Ed program. But it started with that parent who walked in and said, only include my child. And that's all I want. So we have tried in our organization to look at all kinds of inclusion in terms of gender, in terms of caste, in terms of religion in this country. And today, even though we don't advertise it, we have 20% children from minorities. And why? Only because they feel safe and they know that they will be included, right? And so we have them. And we don't talk about our inclusion, we just are inclusive. And the other way that I'm wondering if people will think about inclusion as we're going into our discussion. I have a few questions that I'm hoping it can guide our discussion. I know that there will be more questions. I'm hoping that's a good sign. And then later on, we can get together, pool our wisdom, our collective wisdom, like we have done. We have always started with no knowledge, zero. Didn't even have a B.Ed when I started my school. And then I learned. Learned from whom? From the bachas. Well, how do they want to be taught? That's how I followed it, okay? So I have just one suggestion to all of us that one, inclusion takes many forms, exclusion takes many forms. And in our society, let's not fight shy of admitting, accepting, and addressing all the forms of exclusion that exist, including caste. I thought gender was hard. When you talk about caste and tell people to annihilate it, it's almost as though you're asking them to rip off their skin. It's so difficult, especially in states like UP and Bihar. I'm joking now, all the Biharis here, with all respect. Just funny story. I'm always so grateful for Bihar. Then we are not second last, right, in UP. But we are very similar. We are neighbors and we do all these things. But my point is, we practice them every day in our own homes. And I would invite everyone to spend some time thinking about that. Very important. And the questions I have, very simple, really. First of all, how do you define inclusion? What does it mean to you? What does it look like? I told you what it meant to me and what it looked like to me. I gave you very graphic examples, right? And what does it feel like? And I think it's because I felt it. I was there, present. I lived in my family, I went to that school, was there. But I felt excluded and I didn't belong. So, what does it really mean? Very important. While you're doing that, to think of yourselves, like we were made to do during the privilege walk, that how have you felt excluded in your life? And I can guarantee all of us who look so well attired, suited, booted, coated in this AC, is that we have felt excluded, even though we might not look it. Okay? How have you felt it and what did that feel like? And then, while we are here, the goal is we are sitting in this Shiksha Greh museum and we are with Shiksha Lokam and Shiksha Greh. Can we imagine an ideal picture of inclusion? And I really do want you to look at all the kinds of exclusion. What would that look like in our family, in society, in our schools? Because they all come together. We need to take a holistic view of it. Okay? And then, last one, I know that's a tall order. So, what is needed? Like I know from us, what was needed for us? All it needed with that first step was that let me ask my teacher. And all we did was open our doors. We didn't do anything else. And then we turned it into an institutional policy, structure, everything. All right? So, my point is, what is needed to achieve that ideal picture of inclusion that you are painting? And I'm hoping you'll bring all your sensitivities, all your world experience, students, all your voices. I'm so proud to have my students here. They're there. That's from Prerna and that's from Vidyasthali, our rural school. So, what does it mean? And what does it take? Does it take a shift in mindset? Does it take a shift in government policies and structures? What does it take? Training? Does it take dialogue? What does it take to achieve the inclusion? Yeah. So with that, I think my 5 minutes are up, and I've probably gone above that. Sorry. You get a teacher, she'll talk. So, I'm hoping you'll enjoy your group discussions. I think they will tell you how that's going to take place. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, so much for setting the tone and also emphasizing on why inclusion is needed and why it's important. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to now move into small group discussions. So there are going to be 3 groups according to the table: group 1, group 2, and then group 3. And each group, and you can sit at the places that are there only. Each group will have one moderator. So we have 3 moderators for each group. We have Chetan Kapoor sir. Chetan Kapoor sir is the Chief Operating Officer at Tech Mahindra Foundation. He has also founded EduLever and co-founded Agrasar. And he has worked at AIF, Bharti Foundation, and Pratham. Glad to have you, sir. Thank you so much for being there. We have Ram Kamal sir. Where is Ram Kamal? Ram Kamal sir is there. Ram Kamal sir is an international journalist and a social innovator. He is the publisher editor of Diversity Magazine and co-founder of Chaksumati. What I'll request now is that Urvashi ma'am is going to look at the third group. So this is group 1 where Chetan Kapoor sir, and there are some of the participants' name given here. It's flexible. You can join any of the group that you wish for. We just want to maintain a little uniformity in the numbers. Group 2 here and then group 3 there. We can just turn around our chairs and then. Yeah. And each group has a moderator, there are participants, and there are student voices in each of the group. And that's what we want to hear most of the times. What are students thinking about? There will be a note taker from each of the organizers that are there. I will be there, Saili will be there, and then there will be Muskan. Muskan is here. Uh, Looking forward to the discussion. We will have 20 minutes, and then the moderator will have 3 minutes to summarize the discussion. We will have 20 minutes for the discussion and 3 minutes for the moderator to summarize the discussion. Awesome.
Yeah, this one is loud and clear. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So we just had in the last 20 minutes a fantastic conversation in which we touched upon personal experiences of being excluded. We started with Jack there talking about how he, who had ADHD, was usually asked by his class teachers to go outside the classroom. And I think in our classrooms also we've all experienced that how that becomes a very convenient way for the teacher to sort of deal with the situation, right? We heard you talk about a condition that she has, and that is a visible condition, and that has often led to her being, excluded and felt excluded, which I'm sure, is not an easy feeling to live with. We also heard Nidhi, who spoke about her example where when she might have felt excluded, but because she felt accepted instead of being excluded in that milieu where you were, it just changed it for her. And therein, we then started talking about, so we all understood that inclusion is a very real challenge for us, because in some ways um, we we acquire a default setting of exclusion. We tend to create categories amongst ourselves the moment that we know that somebody else is of a different caste, different religion, has a different kind of a disposition. We start creating these barriers and these walls, which lead to more and more exclusion in our society all along. Children, however, and we gave the example of how on the playground you will rarely see exclusion. For very small children especially, there's nothing such as exclusion. When we play cricket, as children, as 6, 7 year olds, we just look at, who's bowling well, who's batting well, and that's the only criteria for, formation of teams and things like that. There's nothing else, right? So somewhere, but however, once we get to slightly older, we begin to think more and more exclusivist, and that is why we end up living in gated communities, having silos in all our organizations, and so on and so forth. So the problem was clearly defined, and then we looked at solutions. We looked at, what can we do as a society to change this, because of this exclusion, there is so much that we are not able to leverage. There is so much that we are not able to benefit and gain from. And one of the most obvious things here is, the first point is acceptance. I personally have felt that the goal of our, especially the middle years in education. So I personally believe that in the primary years, the primary goal is to keep the curiosity in our children alive. And after that, it has to be to instill in us this feeling that we are all equal, that diversity is valued. Diversity is something which is good for us, right? And I think that is a lesson which somehow in our schools is not as well ingrained as it should be. So acceptance is important. There is also a lot of conditioning that happens, because what we as children get to hear from the adults, from the parents at home, sometimes even in school, and that in some ways, makes the idea of exclusion more and more the norm rather than the exception, which is what it should be, right? So that's the other thing. There was also the question about agency, giving agency. So we heard, sorry, I didn't get your name. Aryan. We heard Aryan say how he, as a TFI teacher in a school, makes sure that he asks his children what they want. A simple thing which many of our teachers have never asked, right? In terms of assessments, for example, it's a very fair thing to do that once your children are at a certain age, include them in the process of how should you be best assessed, right? How many schools actually do that, right? So having that agency is important, especially where there are hierarchical structures, like in a classroom, where we know that the teacher is in a position of authority, right? So the onus is on her to make sure that this distinction or this hierarchy does not become pervasive, right? And then there's another very important point we kind of touched upon in these few minutes, that it's also very important for us to stand up for our rights. I think inclusion is an entitlement that all of us have, right? We have to be included, whatever it takes. We have to go forward and say that I am a part of this group and you can't exclude me. So I think this was in some ways a summary of what was discussed. I hope I've been able to capture it well. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just quickly run through. It was a very animated discussion and very participatory. So when we talked about defining inclusion, almost everyone said that there are some points, and I'm going to run through them, is they felt a sense of belonging, more important than just being there, a sense of participation, being seen, right? And one of our participants said that importantly, where everybody is treating others the way they want to be treated themselves. Then this was respect and care was very important. Many people mentioned that. Then having a safe and non-judgment space. That's what inclusion means, that I'm in a place where people will accept me for who I am, will not be passing judgment, and where I feel safe. All right. And then one of them said that, and that place also needs you to be a good listener. Because only when you listen and can you respond with the care that you accept, and then that it should be a compassionate place, right? So these were all the elements of inclusion that people mentioned. In terms of how did you feel excluded, so there were many. One of them said that I didn't speak any Hindi, and there was somebody who said that how can you be Indian if you can't speak Hindi? So, and that in Hyderabad, cheeky guy. Then there was this body shaming, right? That you're too skinny and we don't like you. When he put on some weight, yeah, now you're fit. Okay, and we all know about body shaming, right? Almost all of us have it. And colorism, and how that affects you. And then, of course, gender, and how it excludes you from so many things all your life. In terms of sports, if you go to any of the playing fields, I know in UP, Lucknow also, you don't find girls. तो वो पहले ही exclude कर दिया ना, उसके बाद where's the question of, right? So that, and that's why sports also, some of them mentioned, right? And then one of our participants said that I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, that they didn't understand, which is why they're excluded me, and they don't understand what it feels like to be a visually impaired person. I said, that's really very compassionate of you. But then eventually, that's the way she was being treated. And then when we thought of what should it look like, then the ideal form, they said that, you mentioned agency, that was very important. They said that where everybody has a choice, they have an agency. Again, non-judgmental. And then, said included, not accommodated. And that it can't be a pity inclusion. That, like you mentioned, that you have a right to be there and not. And that, that when you're present, you are counted for. It's not that, okay, you're there. Pade raho. No, but that you're accounted for. And that there is kindness and empathy all round. There is joy. And there is opportunity for all. Our students came up with that, where everyone gets a chance equally. And again, no pity. And mentioned, she says, there should be equal access to all the power tools. And technology is a very important power tool right now. And so is English, actually. We can rail and rave and rant against colonial, etc. At the same time, it is the power language, like it or not. And so when you exclude people from that, you are excluding them from many opportunities, right? So the access to power tools is really important. And again, as a right, not charity, all right? And have a voice that we can protest, we can demand things, and be equally appreciated. One of our students said that, that it's not just the good people who should get the appreciation, everybody should be appreciated for something, and that's an inclusive space, all right? Then in terms of, it should be said, what is something that we need to shift? Everybody gave a vote to mindset shifts. And one of the things, government policies, yes, but government policies with sensitivity and where all the work is done to, for example, RTE. It was implemented in spirit. It is a good thing. It should be included. Is it working? No. Why isn't it working? Because there was no effort to bring the schools, private schools on board by appealing to their civic duty, to their sense of inclusion. None of that happened. So they feel, what the hell? Yeah, you do that to anybody, you won't like it, right? So why was that work not done? And why, if you do that, it would have worked very well, which they didn't do. All right. And then, yes, we need government policies. They do help. For example, even reservation, though it has many complexities, but even that. But you need to do all the work that it needs for effective implementation. And the other thing that they said, that you need the will. And somebody said, and this was that you have to just start. Just take the first step now, and things will follow, right? And a dialogue. In our organization, by the way, we have critical dialogues with our children on all the social issues, gender foregrounded, social justice, and that's once a week as part of the official curriculum. Then we have parent meetings regularly where we have these dialogues with them. So dialogue is really very important. There is training required for all the things we talk about: empathy, understanding, compassion, and in their shoes, right? So yes, but training can take many forms, not just preaching at them, but okay, like a workshop, a privilege walk, a way in which you really feel what it must feel like. And right there we felt, many of us who have able-bodied, able everything else, privilege, and yet we have felt excluded. Can you imagine those with real challenges and what that feels like? Right? And how much more help and how much more understanding is needed over there. So dialogue, really important, training, yes, and the will within institutions and the political will. Oh God, please God. Okay, that's really important. So that was our group.
I have a beautiful set of my team. They discussed everything different than other two panels discussed. Okay? So they were talking about caste, religion, and exclusions, equity for gender areas. It is a good panel, and I will give the answer from two sides of the things for the solution which we are talking about inclusion. I'm working from like NGO side as well as the government side. After the COVID, I joined the government to make the mission work towards inclusion. It's a big mission, huge mission. It's not easy. And don't think government is separate from the society. Government is part of the society. So let us come to the last point. Last point is not the last point of discussion. Or the first step of the inclusion happens from each and every person. How he included himself or herself in their house first, in the home, everything starts from home to the society, to the school. So we want to make sure every schools, because in the education there is only two parties are there, educator and the student. Why should we label the student comparing them with their impairment? And whatever meetings I go, I tell the different meanings of D. You know what D is used mostly for disability. Then disability has grown to disorder. Now the term is disorder. Why can't we change these two words to one thing called difference? It's a much more polite, decent word, isn't it? Instead of calling a disabled child or disorder, he's having a disorder or she's having a disorder. Instead of that, why can't we think a child from its own abilities, different abilities? Every child, if you look at, they have a certain level of abilities. Correct? So the moment we decide, we take this as the first step, counting the ability, then changing the perspective to support that ability in the schools. I will explain it very clearly. For an example, a child with blindness, all other faculties are working well. They are intelligent too. So we need to change the focus to give them accessible content to study. What is accessible content? How the child blind, okay, let me have a general JQ question. How the blind study? How they write? Braille. You ask ChatGPT will say Braille. Okay? But I did a kind of modification in Gemini. Gemini will say digital. Okay. How many of you using Android phones? Who is behind the Android phone? It's a blind person called Dr. T.V. Raman. He changed the world perspective from inaccessibility in content to accessibility. A blind person.
Ram sir requesting you, sorry, we need to close the session if we could quickly wrap up.
Yeah.
Right.
So a blind person can change the world. Who do we label them? Okay? So most of our questions were on the exclusion or the labeling in the schools where with the caste, creed and kind of things there. Now there is only one thing I want to conclude it into that. Every mother in this country should be empowered to make the child strong. It is easy to build stronger children than repair broken men. So how mothers can do? Because mother is one person who already went through the tunnel. She can really guide the child. You are going to have these kind of setting backs in your school, but you should know that you are you and you can outperform that through your all other actions. Being government, now I am coming to the government side because since I work in the government, making policies, getting set for these kind of things, we can only set policies. Policies cannot be implemented under the support of the public or the institutions. So there, the child who is standing with their own pride and self-pride we won't be able to do anything on inclusion. Inclusion is a word, as I'm going to, this is the last word, okay? Inclusion is a word like independence. I was just talking to them about Jiddu Krishnamurti. It's the greatest philosopher we had. So he was asked by some British journalists, like, why you are not fighting for the independence? He said, who took my independence? My independence is with me. So nobody can take your self-pride unless and until you are ready to give. Government can only make the infrastructure set. Curriculum content can be accessible, made accessible. We can give awareness to the teachers, but teachers also, like the 10 different fingers, all are different. So what Sir was talking about diversity, we need to live in the diversity. We had beautiful yesterday, a demonstration of the forest. In the forest, there is no exclusion happens. Go to the ocean, everything goes in the flow. There is nobody say that I am a big fish, I am a small fish. Fish are fish. Human beings are human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for patiently sitting through the lunch. I'm going to call upon Manju ma'am to conclude the session. She's been an inspiration for the work we do at Solzak, and she's the principal of DPS School, one of the most inclusive schools that I've seen in India. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sonali. For want of time, we're just going to get everything together. At DPS Bangalore North, we are a private school which Kamal sir is, he says government first. I come from a government school, but I run a. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. But I don't really think it matters whether you are a private school, you're a government school, you're a mainstream school, you're a special school, you're an integrated school. What matters is every child is in school. There are no children stuck to the bedrooms of their homes, not seen, not heard, not felt, not having a social inclusion. For us at DPS North, schooling is not academic pursuit. For us, it is social amalgamation, not assimilation, not integration, but being there with you. And I think that is what inclusion means to us. It means all. Just a three little word, okay? For us, inclusion means ask. Ask the person who needs what they need rather than you deciding what you need to give them. Ask. Ask, and the child will tell you, the parent will tell you, the grandparent will tell you, because they have been the first learners and they therefore can help you navigate your journey with the child in school. For us, inclusion is a strengths based approach. We look at every child's strength because we believe everyone in school, each one of us, is special. There is no one child who's special. We are all special. As head of school, I'm special. Everybody is special. Everybody is unique. And we believe it's mindset and it's culture. You have a culture of inclusion or you don't have an inclusive culture. So you build one. If you don't have, you build one. Inclusion is not one person's task, it's everybody's task. And therefore, it takes a village to raise a child. Everybody, any trusted adult who's a part of that group is the part of inclusion. Inclusion for us is to bring the marginalized to the mainstream, and for the majority to understand that they have to be the voice of minority while they allow for self-advocacy and say that the minority should have a voice. It is not going to be heard if you don't become their voice as well. So understanding that being majority gives you privilege, it also gives you responsibility of raising that voice and shouting from rooftops that this is what has to happen. For us, diversity, there's a quote, and those of us who work in the field of diversity know that quote really well. It says, diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. For me, it goes one step, three more words. Equity is giving me a dance floor where I can dance. B is getting me a partner who will dance with me happily. He'll be my partner for now and forever. And C is that care, that compassion, that community that we can build together in a space. And I have 5 beautiful people from my team here. I have the youngest with Felicia, followed by Ayan, followed by Alina. So 2 students, 1 teacher, 2 parents that make DPS Bangalore North here with me. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just want to congratulate DPS for one more thing. Because I am with the DPS journey for last 17 years. I lived in DPS founder's house for 5 years. Mr. Lugani's house, okay? DPS, just one child's case I want to tell. His name is Karthik Swaini. You just check it out. He's a software engineer in Microsoft. Karthik Swaini. Now, what is the salary he's getting? He's a blind boy. What is this? He's the first boy in India to write the examination with computer. The first boy, blind boy, to deny the admission in IIT Delhi. So we sent him to Stanford. He's getting around 3 crore rupees a month. If he can do that, all our children can do that. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being a part of this brain dead. I know everyone is super hungry. Also a big thanks to Sikshar team and Vidya Vidai team for being co-facilitating this session with us. Thank you all. Have a good lunch.